Once again, you already know what it is and you already know where you have reached. You know what it is. It's Sean of the Hubbard Wrestling Weekly podcast. And I got to tell you guys, I had to do an automatic, immediate reaction video for what we just saw on Monday Night Raw. Once again, my name is Sean, and I'm the founder and host of Hubbard Wrestling Weekly and the co-host of Clash of the Podcast with Conrad Cushman. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I talked about it in depth on Clash of the Podcast. I talked about it in depth on Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. I told the world that the best thing that WWE should do, the best thing that WWE should think about, the best thing that WWE should move forward with is making main event Jey Uso relevant again, putting main event Jey Uso back in the position to be main event. He was ready-made. It was right there for him. It was right there for the taking. And once again, WWE drops the ball. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, the best matchup is Sami and KO versus the Usos at WrestleMania. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. It was right there for you, WWE. But like I always say on Clash of the Podcast and Hubbard Wrestling Weekly, when it comes to WWE, if it sounds like a good idea, you know what that means. That means they're not going to do it. But this wasn't even a good idea that had to be cultivated. This was a good idea that fell in your laps, WWE. It fell in your laps. What more do you need? The reaction from the Royal Rumble with Jey Uso, the reaction from Elimination Chamber. But by the time we got the reaction tonight, when Jey hugged Sami Uso, it was already decided and already done. So the super kick from Jey right to Sami Zayn's face was basically something we all could see coming. I had hope. I was on the phone with my co-host and brother Conrad Cushman. I was hoping that perhaps my prediction, and believe me, I'm not trying to act like I had some groundbreaking prediction. It was obvious what should be done. Jey Uso should have had the opportunity to be elevated back to main event status. They didn't have to do anything but just ride the wave, WWE. All you had to do was ride the wave. Jey was getting over. Jey was over. The thought, the notion, the premonition that Jey Uso would turn on Roman Reigns and turn on the bloodline was ready, made, and right there for you. It was a good idea. But once again, as I always say, when it comes to WWE, when it comes to World Wrestling Entertainment, if it sounds like a good idea, you know what that means. Once again, WWE, ready-made storyline, ready-made 4 or 5 more months of classic, undeniable storytelling was right in the palm of your hands. Jey Uso, a main event guy, right there, ready to be made on the spot. You didn't even have to make the decision, WWE. All you had to do was listen to the fans. All you had to do was listen to all the social media outcry. All you had to do was listen to me. But once again, you take the easy way out. So now we're going to get Sami and KO versus the Usos at WrestleMania. And yes, it's going to be a good match. Yes, it's going to be captivating television. Yes, we're going to be excited to see what happens between Sami and KO and the Usos. But are you going to sit up here and tell me with a straight face that when Jey Uso embraced Sami Zayn tonight on Monday Night Raw, that you didn't feel excited, that you didn't have for those 3 minutes before Jey turned on Sami, that you not have in your mind, have in your brain, as the wrestling fans that you are, have in your spirit, as the wrestling fans that you are, all the possibilities that could come between now and WrestleMania and beyond. Oh my God, Jey's turned on the bloodline. Is Jey going to fight Roman? Is Jey going to turn on his brother Jimmy? Is Jey going to fight Solo? Is Jey going to team up with Sami? Is Jey going to team up with Sami and KO? And now it's right back to status quo. Right back to what we all knew would happen. I give my credit, all credit, I give respect to my brother and co-host Conrad Cushman. But even Conrad knows, the whole wrestling world knows that the way it should have played out, the most entertaining, the most captivating television, the most captivating storyline would have been for Jey Uso to turn on Roman Reigns. But once again, WWE shows how much of cowards they are and won't pull the trigger, won't pull the card that is supposed to be where the fans get something that they want. The fans have been craving for Jey Uso since the Royal Rumble. And WWE, once again, drops the ball. Should have expected it. Should have expected it. I blame myself, ladies and gentlemen. I blame myself because I allowed myself, after months and months of telling everybody on Clash of the Podcast, on my tweets, in my Instagram, I told the world on Hubbard Wrestling Weekly that the best, most captivating television, the most amazing storyline possibility was Jey turning on the bloodline. And for a second, just for 1 second, when Jey Uso hugged Sami Zayn, I believed that my vision came true. I believed that for once, WWE would make the easy decision. And in this case, the easy decision was the right decision. The fans already made their choice. Jey was over, just like Sami. And when Jey Uso hugged Sami Zayn, I was happy. I said, yes, finally, WWE Creative is showing some courage and going the route that they should go, going the route that's a little bit deviated from the norm. Jey bucking the system and turning on Roman Reigns and the bloodline. But of course, that would be a good idea. So we know what that means. Great job, WWE. Great job. Instead of going into WrestleMania with Jey Uso opposite Roman Reigns, where he could help Cody Rhodes, maybe, where he can help Sami Zayn take down the bloodline, Kevin Owens, the possibilities were endless. Now we're pigeonholed into the Usos versus Sami and KO. And no, Sami and KO versus the Usos is not going to be a bad match. It's going to be a great match. You're going to hear me talk about how great the match was on Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. You're going to hear about how I think the match was great on Clash of the Podcast. But it could have been better. But that would take balls from WWE. And clearly they don't have any. Jey Uso turning on the bloodline was a good idea. But once again, when WWE is being talked about, when you have a good idea in WWE, you know what that means. Great job, WWE. You've done it again. This is Sean Hubbard, Hubbard Wrestling Weekly, and Clash of the Podcast. We'll talk to you next time.